Onnit.com/Ellis. On it. Alpha Brain, Shroom Tech, kettlebells, battle ropes, everything, you name it, they've got it, and it is the best. It's the highest quality. I've been using these supplements for over 10 years. I am on Alpha Brain right now, and I'm flying, baby. I'm flying. Onnit.com/Ellis. Oh, shit, that's loud. My balls is totally moving, new and improving. Now can we get back up? I got the heart and desire. My balls are on fire, ready to take us to the top. Welcome to my show. Did you know that your mom is home? Fuck yeah, singing in front of Ricky Williams is sweet, man. I feel energized. That's way better than coffee.
Let us know if you want an MP3 of that.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a really uncomfortable scene for me to be in, but it's nowhere near as uncomfortable as the scene that I was in last night. I got pushed into singing a duet with Anne H., the famous Hollywood actress.
Yes.
Who I'm really good friends with, who said that it would be a good idea if her and I sang Islands in the Stream.
Why? Is this part of a larger project?
It was from a long time ago when I raced cars with her in the passenger seat, and she came up with this idea afterward that we should sing a song, the cover, but change the lyrics to Islands in the Street because we're racing on the streets, even though it was on a dirt track. So then that disappears because I got out of it and I try to stay away. That's a crazy idea. I'm like, Anne, you're crazy. But I would have done it, but because she's a Hollywood actress and I want the story, I want the experience. That sounds fucking crazy. I'm in. So I also thought it was a pipe dream. She started a podcast, just like you're here. Appreciate it, by the way.
Yeah.
And was like, can you be on my podcast? I'm like, of course, Anne, no problem. And she said, what would you recommend to help get the podcast bigger? And I was like, do any of you sing? And they were like, no. And I was like, you should sing. Because I don't really sing, and I sing, and I think it's a good thing for people to, like, you know, do uncomfortable shit. Like, don't be scared of yourself. So that triggered her into that idea again, where she goes, what about us doing that duet? And I just said, yeah, because, you know, I've got a podcast now, and I figured, how bad could it be to do that? She's a Hollywood actress. She knows TV people and movie and music people. And she's like, I've got a recording artist and a videographer, and we're good to go. And I was like, okay, well, I'll do it. And I listened to Islands in the Stream in the car on the way to this house in the Bel Air, this rich neighborhood. But it's a windy road, and I believe I passed it last night. I realized, you know, the biggest house in the hills, like the richest one that's on those shows, it has like a helicopter pad. It's near that house. So when I drove past, I'm like, holy shit, I'm about to go into like the pimpest house ever.
Yeah, the one that looks like Tony Stark's house.
Yeah, yes. Okay, like 500 meters down the road is this guy's house, and it is a piece. They're gonna see this. It's a piece of shit. It's so trashed. And these guys, I smoke marijuana, but I don't drink, and I used to do drugs, but I definitely don't now. Cocaine to me just gives me a panic attack talking about it. I don't like that stuff. And I sense as soon as I open the door, everybody's smoking inside, and I'm like, oh wow, that's tobacco, not marijuana. I'm like, whoa, okay. And then it's like, hey man, and I'm like, no, it's 2 PM, nah. And they're like, you want a drink? And I'm like, yeah, you got like a Dr. Pepper or something? Because that's my thing, because I don't drink. I try to get like a candy going. And they're like, oh, we don't have any of that. We got wine or beer. And I was like, oh, I don't drink. And they're like, oh, you'll be okay. We'll get you a Coke or something. And it's just constant chain smoking. And they're like, okay, sing. And I'm like, okay, you know, Islands in the Stream. And she's can sing kind of, but she's not trained. She's just more of an actor who is like, now I'm a singer. So she was just like, Islands in the Stream, looking at me face to face, cigarette. And I was like, you're gonna give me a panic attack because I don't know, maybe some of your fumes could go in here or so. I don't know how it works anymore. Maybe your sweat glands get on my sweat glands, and I'm like, I can feel it again. No, not the bumps, please, not the bumps. So then this guy's filming me, and then after singing it, I don't know how many times in the backyard, then I realized that this dude doesn't live alone. He lives with 2 other guys. So it's these 2 little guys that are like cooking bacon and eggs. One's on the phone smoking a cigarette in the backyard while I'm in the backyard, standing on the backyard of someone's house I don't know, going, "Islands in the stream," and the guy's like, "Yeah, really play it up for the camera." And I'm looking at Anne like, what's my acting background? I thought I said the words like I was looking at Anne. I smiled at you. Fucking hell, man, let me go. It gets to the point where they go, "Let's do one in the bedroom." And I'm like, okay, because we've done it in the living room, outside. I've sang this song so many times, and this guy's filmed it so many times. I now know the words to it. I now hear it in my sleep. I fucking hate that song. Like, I hear it all day now. I can't. Kenny Rogers is in me. It's ruined my life.
Not a great song.
No. And so I'm listening to the live one. He gets kind of gravelly, so I started to enjoy that a little bit, but that's probably the curse because it got in there. So I go to this bedroom, and the guy goes, "Before we go up there, it's a bit messy, if you don't mind." And I was like, "Oh, I don't care." I walk in there. As I go upstairs, the stains on the carpet are heavy, like big ones, almost murder ones, you know? I'm like, is that a bong or like did someone bleed out? I don't know. And then I get to his room, and it's like underwear and like just shit everywhere. They're like, "Sit on the bed." And he's got a white comforter, and it's covered in stains. And I'm like, I can't sit on that. And I just sit on it, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, I'm here, I can't. And I sit down, and Anne looks at me. She finally gets it. Like, I'm like, what? And then the big dog comes over and starts trying to sniff my groin again. He's got a big wolf dog called, what's the Wolfgang? I'm like, really, dude? Really? That's the name? Like, it's like the restaurant? Anyway, this dog is like, no trains, keeps trying to grab my dick, and singing, leaning on me. This dude's filming. The smell is insane. It's like ass balls and like Coke cigarettes at the same time. And I'm like, oh. And I'm like, nobody cares about COVID in here. And they're like, cut. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, well, one more idea. Why don't you sing and walk through the house while you're singing it? I'm like, this dude's just going to keep going. I can tell what's happening. So I do that because it's on the way down to the living room. As we get down and we go, that's good, that'll do. I take off this other stuff that they made me wear that was making me uncomfortable as well. So I take off my, they made me wear like my, I had like a jacket, like a proper jacket, but with cowboy boots. They wanted me to put a cowboy hat on. I'm like, I can't wear a cowboy hat with like a Gucci vest. Like I don't feel comfortable. I already don't feel. This is a video where I know in the end they're gonna edit it and put it out, and I'm gonna have no say. And there's all these people who will be like, "What the fuck you singing Islands in the Stream with Anne H for? Why you got such a serious face?" I'm like, they just made me do a music video. I didn't even. At one point they were like, look into her eyes, and I'm like, oh, what's the joke anymore? We just love each other and we want to fuck, because that's not what's happening.
Man, did you at least get some of that bacon?
No, I didn't want any. I didn't want to touch a plate. I didn't want to touch anybody's hand. Everybody there looked like they. Like one guy, an Indian guy, had red rings around his eyes from like rubbing, or he just looked so. And I could be wrong. Maybe it's not coke. I'm just saying it looked like somebody did so much coke that I was like, oh, is he really gonna be here the whole time? Because I can't do that. Like I can't touch the coke people. I could be wrong, and once again, I don't know. No one racked up in front of me, so I want to make sure that I'm not just saying it's factual. That's my suspicion, and it made me panic. So then at the very end, I take my jacket off, and he goes, "You know, what would be really cool. One more thing." And I already told Katie that they're dressing me, and it's making me uncomfortable. And Katie would text me back and said, "Stand up for yourself. Like if you don't like it, tell him you won't wear it." And I was like, "Okay, I will." Because I'm like a baby, man. I'm in this room, and they're all in control of me. It's really pathetic.
How about this 311 shirt now, sir?
Well, this was just as bad. They said, "Okay, new idea. Anne puts on your clothes, and you put on her dress." And I was like, "Oh, okay, no," and I'm leaving because I was like, "Wow,
that was real."
Yeah, he fucking, because I looked at his face like, "This joke," and he's like, "That'd be really great." And I was like, "Yeah, to have me in her dress in video. Yep, nah, it makes sense for you, but not for me. See ya." So then I leave, And Anne kind of knows that I was panicking about the whole thing. So then I got to go back last night to lay the track down. These people aren't serious enough to be saying this shit. So I'm like, what's the address? Same fucking place. I told Katie, I'm already panicking. I'm like, I can't go. But I said I'd go. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. So I go. And now I'm in a recording booth where it's all closed. And this dude's singing. This dude's smoking cigarettes right next to me. His dog is like fully trying to fuck my dick with its nose. And I'm like, can you get... And he's like, Wolfgang in the middle of Wolfgang Park or some shit. Get out of here. And I'm like, oh, it's in the street. And then it's like, do another one. What about a higher one? What about a lower one? What about a gravelly one? And then that was it. I feel like they don't think I'm a very positive person, but I also felt like that brought so much panic to me. I felt panic. I got a lot of panic issues lately. I got like a heart condition. That's why I'm going to talk to you a lot about, because I feel like you have like a lot of holistic ways to stay a bit more calmer, a bit more relaxed. And I feel like lately I've been stressing myself out. Even my doctor gave me a prescription for Xanax, and I'm like, I don't want to take them. I want to figure it out another way. But lately the show and that whole like being around that, I feel like even at the best of times, I can't do cocaine room or alleged cocaine room
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, there's a time and a place in your life for cocaine, and then there's a time and your place to even be in the vicinity of people. I don't even want to go to the bar. I don't even want to go to the neighborhood where cocaine is popular at this point in my life. What you have going for you, your ace in the hole, is that people allegedly on cocaine are far better at filming hours and hours of footage than at actually editing and posting it anywhere.
Right.
Yeah, this might have been her Chinese democracy.
Oh, okay. Well, let's lean on that hard then. I'm going to believe that.
You know what? From now on, when people ask what's the best way to promote your podcast, you just tell them like blowing fireballs.
Yeah. No. I'm going to say I have
Venmo
no
me.
idea, because otherwise now I'm going over to that cocaine house to like set fire to myself, and that sounds even worse.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, Jason Ellis here. Bald, as you can see. A long time ago, I had luscious locks, very handsome. A lot of people would approach me and say, wow, those are some luscious locks. And now they're gone. And there's no coming back. I guess I could glue a wig, but I tried that. It's a little sad. So unless you want to get a wolf tattooed on your skull, I can tell you, it hurt. Really hurt. You could do this instead. What is it, Michael?
Keeps.
Keeps is the hair restoration product that it doesn't happen overnight. You don't put a drop on your head and then you wake up with hair. But in a period of 3 months, you will find that hair not only remains but also grows. These guys are saying that if you get on it early, see, these guys didn't. I wasn't here. Nobody told me about this. 10 years ago, maybe 15, this would have been really valuable to me.
If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/Ellis to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/Ellis to get your first month free. keeps.com/Ellis.
Man, if I had a time machine, I totally would have hit these guys up. But if you have hair, you know what to do. Fans of the Jason Ellis Show over the age of 21, I want to tell you about YoKratom, the home of the $60 kilo. That's right, $60 for a full kilo. I did not know until YoKratom sent me a kilo of Kratom how big 60 kilos of Kratom is. If you guys are going to gas stations and getting it, or wherever, like just trying to get it, some like sketchy smoke shop or something, you are blowing it. $60 to me, I don't know how long my bag is going to last, but it's definitely going to last a hell of a lot longer than going to some sketchy gas station. So I got a deal for you guys. Oh, I guess I should say, if you're not into Kratom, you shouldn't listen to this ad. It's not going to really help you out in any way. But if you are into Kratom and you have tried it, then this is the ad for you. YoKratom is high quality Kratom for $60 for a kilo. I just want to thank YoKratom for sponsoring the Jason Ellis Show. Shout out to those guys. And don't forget, if you go to YoKratom.com, that is the site where you can buy directly at incredible prices. One more time, everybody. YoKratom, the home of the $60 kilo. Ricky, I know that you're a football guy, and I know the marijuana thing, you're one of the first people to stand up for that stuff. But as a guy that was an NFL guy that is that big time, Were you in the cocaine world and all that stuff, or did you strictly stay in the weed thing?
I was just strictly in the weed thing.
You never dabbled with any of that.
Mm-mm.
You must have brushed up alongside it a few times. I'm assuming that big time football players would be some on it.
It's interesting. I brushed up against it one time, and it was actually a rookie. So it was late in my career, and we would stay at a hotel, and then we drive to the home stadium. And so I would keep my car at the hotel, and then I'll drive with this kid, this rookie. And so one day it was after the game, he was driving back, and he just pulled out this little white bag. And you know, I grew up in the 80s, so we were taught that if you do cocaine, your brain is going to turn into fried eggs. And so I was like,
I'm glad somebody told you
so
that.
I was
I
like,
don't think everybody got that.
like, what are you doing? And he's like, it's nothing, you know? And he just started, and then just, as he's driving, you know, and I was just sitting there like, holy shit. And he just kept driving, and he was fine. And then I started to think, his brain is not turning into scrambled eggs. And he's like, do you want to try some? And I was like, I don't know. And he said, you know, just take some and rub it on your gums. Just
he gave you a gummer?
Yeah. So I just rubbed it on my gums, and I was like, I can't feel my gums. And he was like, that's what it is. And then I was like, okay. And then I went home, and all I remember is I did not go to bed until about 3:00 in the morning. I was up all night on the computer playing video games, and I was like, what is this? And that was
For a rookie, that guy had the hookup.
He did.
Yeah.
It sounded like some good stuff. 3 a.m. from a gummy, a gummer. That's pretty.
Well, the story gets better, actually.
Okay,
so
good.
That was my first time ever interacting with it, and as you mentioned, I was in the NFL's drug program, and so it was Christmas Eve because we played the Tennessee Titans, and then it was Saturday, and then Sunday we were off, and then Monday we came back to work, and so because I was in the drug program, I got piss tested like 9 times a month. And so I wasn't even thinking that I did cocaine. I just was thinking, you know, I just rubbed it on my gums. And so
shit.
I popped in the drug test.
The only time you've ever done cocaine, you did a gummer because your friend gave it to you and you tested positive for it.
Yeah.
So you took a hit for, because I would assume that people are like, oh yeah, I bet he did cocaine, like you're pop marijuana smoking cocaine fiend because you tested positive.
Well,
for
the way the NFL drug program works is once you fail a test, it's supposed to be confidential, and so it never got out what I felt. So people just assumed.
Oh, okay.
People just assumed that it was cannabis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it is a little bit crazy for you to think, especially being watched like that gummer wasn't gonna. I mean, I can see how for me. Oh yeah, fuck! I'll try it. I'm not gonna do a lot of it, but I'll do the thing just to see what it's like. Like they were already watching you like a hawk. Does it irritate you now that people can smoke weed and you're? Because to me, you know, like I was a pro skateboarder and we got away with that. You know what I mean? I might have had a couple of team managers that used to watch me because they knew I'd smoke a bunch of weed the night before the contest, and they try to be around because that slowed me down from smoking as much. I'd be like, all right, well, kind of tired, so fuck off so I can roll one, you know what I mean? And they're like, I might stay around a little bit. That's as harsh as it ever got for me. Knowing that someone would be say, you're out of the contest. You can't go to the X Games because you smoke weed. I'd be like, what the fuck? But then now, it seems like
I'm not
that frowned upon.
I think if I was still playing and I was being drug tested and other guys weren't, I'd be pissed off. But I'm not playing anymore, so I get it. And times have changed a lot in the past 15 years.
I see a lot of people saying in the NFL that they want to add marijuana to like your life, like the CBD and all that, like get everybody on it because it'll help athletes last longer. There's like an argument of that.
It's getting real. I mean, because right now the current way of dealing with pain is just popping pills. And that's not great for our longevity. That's not great for our lives after football. And at least my experience with cannabis was it helped me play a really long time and stay healthy.
And you think that it helped you because there was nagging pains that the marijuana sort of got to push back, or do you think that it also helped your focus when playing?
I think first the thing it helped stress relief. You know, just playing in the NFL is just so stressful. And I'd find, you know, after work, I go home and smoke a blunt or two, and all that stress, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, it was relieved. And I find when I took pain pills, it would mask the pain. When I used cannabis, it didn't mask the pain. It helped me be more aware of it, so I could do something about it.
Right. Yeah. I used to do a lot of painkillers that from surgeries from skateboarding every time I'd break something, and then I started to realize I lost a video game to a girlfriend, and I kicked the TV over, and I was like, "Whoa, what kind of fucking madman?" And I could not afford that TV, and I fucking kicked it, and I was like, "Man, you got real problems." And I was like, "It's the painkillers." Even at my young, I think it was like 25, 28, I thought, oh, wow, they're really fucking with my mind. I'll just smoke way more weed, which all of us, because we didn't have your rules, we'd already figured it out without even, because I feel like in the MMA community, people talk about it. In football and basketball, they talk about it like it's a real aid to me. It really helps me. I feel like in skateboarding, we didn't have to flex why we did it because nobody was trying to ban us from doing it. So we were like, we smoke weed because we smoke weed. Like, it helps me go through my day.
Yeah.
Like, if I skate all day and I slam, 80 times in a day, I'm fucking sore, man. And it helps me stay at the ramp. It helps me get my brain. Because usually I would smoke weed to try and learn a trick. And it would help me...
slow you down a little bit.
Yeah, and calm down. Like, because sometimes you spend hours, sometimes days trying to make a trick. And the stress and the frustration... You smoke some weed and you kind of like step back and rethink of it, rethink the whole thing and break it down. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, I wouldn't have done that without the weed. I'm doing some real mind shit on the top of the ramp before I even skate. Like, I'm like breaking down, what'd your foot do last time? Like, and you're like, you wouldn't have gone there without it. Cause I think a lot of athletes, especially people that like you that do the athletical thing that involves a lot of pain and danger. Why did you do that in the foot? What's your drive to not be scared when somebody hits you that hard and you're like, yeah, get up and like, I'll see you next time. That's a mentality that is. Well,
the way I played,
how do you get that?
The way I played, and I learned this when I was a teenager, is in football, you're either the hammer or the nail.
Okay.
And I decided I think I want to be the hammer. And so I was the guy that made the defensive guys think about, damn, we got to tackle this dude 20 times today. So I really didn't get hit that hard very much because I was focused on trying to hit the other person. And what you're saying is interesting. I didn't even think about it. But when I'd go home and I'd smoke, I'd watch film. And I would pick up little things watching film that I probably wouldn't have picked up if I wasn't smoking.
So you would watch film of your game after it?
I'd either watch film of my practice to correct myself, or I'd watch film of the team we're playing to get a sense of how the linebackers read their run keys or which safeties are going to come up and
But
try
you
to
watch your practice to
so
see how
every day after practice we go in and we watch every play in practice, and the coaches sit there and say, you got to step with your left foot, or what were you thinking, or that safety's coming, you got to get your eyes over there and block.
Okay.
So football is like they're on us about literally every step we take to make sure that we're more efficient.
Cool, Van, everybody. I've been getting some DMs about it. What is this box that keeps things cold and keeps things hot? Well, if you go to cool-ven.com and use code Ellis, you get a 10% discount, and then you will really know what this insulated meal bag is. It offers, you could cook stuff. It's got 12-volt applications and 110, and it's an absolute doozy. I gave one to Michael, and now I ordered some more to my house because when I go to soccer to watch my kid, I just shove a bunch of drinks in there. I haven't needed a hot sandwich, but it is ready to go whenever I want to. And at the same time, you could probably go to leanfeast.com and you could get a bunch of meals stored in your house. So then you could heat it. You could have the heat pad in your Cool Ven, put the Lean Feast hot meal, and they got like pizzas and lasagnas and stuff, so you could put a pizza or a lasagna in your box, and then in the bottom bit of the Cool Ven, it would have your cool drinks, and then you'd have your meal, and then you'd be ready to go, eating at all times, staying disciplined, never like hungry or sketched out. You'll always be on point, ready to go about your business. Once again, leanfeast.com, code Ellis, 10% discount. Thanks to both those guys for supporting the show. Did you find, because you're obviously a natural athlete, that like when you started playing football and everybody, because how long do you go before you meet somebody that's your level? You would have been way better than everybody when you were a kid, right?
When I first started, I wasn't.
Oh, no way.
I'm fast, but there's a lot of skill that has to go in football. There's just a lot of moving pieces that are moving really fast, and it took me about 2.5 years. But once I hit high school, and then I realized that I was much better. I was much better than everyone else. But it was honestly a surprise to me.
Like, so overnight, all the work that you put in, and then all of a sudden it clicked.
That's been the story of my whole sports career.
I was telling these guys, they unfortunately probably heard it 1,000 times, but in skateboarding, I was the exact same thing. There were people that were way better than me that started the same time. There were a couple of kids that one was chubby and the other one was obese, and he was better than me. And then, I don't know, 3 or 4 years into it, one day, I just learnt everything and became like one of the better dudes in Australia in half an hour.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the half an hour. It was all that other time where I'd been thinking about how to get it to work, and
that's me. I always thinking about whatever I'm doing. I'm always thinking about how do I get better? How do I improve? How do I get better?
So how do you adjust from being the highest level of football guy to not that? Like, what is I know you got a lot of things going on, but what are the things that you do? Because to me, I get punched in the face and punch people. Like, that's how I filled the void of not being a skateboarder. I was like, I'll just fight. That's terrifying.
Astrology.
Man, I should have picked that. That would have been a way better idea. Holy crap!
It's less strain on my body, but it's more challenging. Trying to understand the mysteries of the world. That's what I spend my time doing.
So how's that go? Can you explain it a little bit? Like,
I'll explain the story of kind of how I found it. So the other part of that is, I played 11 years in the NFL, but after my 5th year, I failed a drug test, and I decided, instead of like dealing with this shit, I'm just gonna do something different. And so I started traveling around the world. Ended up actually in Australia. Ended up in Byron Bay for several months. And
okay,
yeah. And so I started opening my mind. Yeah,
you guys, nobody who's listening right now, Byron Bay is. Let's say I met some girls in Byron Bay that never shaved their armpits, and I don't think anybody else in Byron Bay shaved their armpits either. It is as hippie as Australia holds. It's the king hippie like area.
Yeah, and I didn't know I was a hippie when I got there, but after I left, I knew I was a hippie. I found
you stayed for 7 months.
I was there for 3 months.
Okay.
I found my people. Yes. And so when I came back to the States, I was a different dude. And one of the things I started getting into holistic healing. I started from what I learned in Byron Bay. So I started studying holistic healing. I started doing yoga, and then that's where I found astrology. And at this time, I just walked away from football, and I had devoted my whole entire life to being the best football player I could be, and I gave that up. So I was really in this like zero place where I didn't have any idea what was going on with my life. And I met this woman, and she asked what time I was born, and we started talking about my astrology chart. And the things she was saying, they just made sense to me, and it helped me figure out what was going on in my life. And so I said, I need to learn more about this stuff. And so I just started studying, and that was almost 20 years ago.
Are we talking about stars and shit? Sorry, Michael.
Yeah, no, exactly. So you kind of already answered the question I was going to ask, but obviously in mainstream society, a lot of people cast aspersions on astrology and kind of put it under charlatanism. What is it about that stuff? You've done a lot of research now that makes you think it really holds water and can tell us stuff about ourselves.
Yeah, I think people just misunderstand what astrology is. So to think about an astrological phenomenon is a birthday. Right. The fact that on our birthday, we celebrate ourselves. Okay. So in an astrological perspective, a birthday is when the sun gets back to the place it was when you were born. Right. So that's what we look at in astrology. So astrology really is a cosmic clock. Right. The same way we know when the sun rises, most people get up. Right. We know somewhere around the afternoon, most people might eat lunch. We know when the sun goes down, most people go to sleep. So astrology is just this timing mechanism. And it really is empirical. It's like over time, people watched the stars and they said, oh, when this planet gets here, I noticed that certain things happen in the world. Certain things happen in my life. And I noticed when this planet gets here, certain things happen. So this information was passed on years over years over years over centuries. And that's what we have today. And so it's a clock, and you can think of it as the language, but it's always filtered through the current time. So if we went back 300 years ago, astrology was more deterministic, because if you were born poor 300 years ago, there's a good chance you were going to die poor. Things have changed now. We're more psychological, and we can, understand ourselves, and we can grow. And so astrology now is more psychological, but it's still timing, right? And so, I can tell when someone's going through relationship issues. I can tell when someone's going through work issues just by looking at the chart, because it's that time in their life for them.
Can you tell that we're going through work issues? Because we got dropped from radio, and now we're podcasting, and we're doing good. But I would have. That was an issue.
Yeah. So
I don't know if we've recovered fully yet. Can you tell?
Well, so and this is the thing about life is we all have to face crossroads, or we all have to face these big decisions. And astrology can let you know when the decision is coming and give you some insight about things to look at or things to consider.
Okay, like for example, Jason, what is your sign?
I'm a Libra.
What's going on with Libras?
Okay, so all right, so the idea of a sun sign, because astrology is much bigger than just what your sign is. Okay, so in astrology we use 10 planets. The sun is considered a planet in astrology. That's only one, so it's 1/10 of who we are. But it's probably the most important 1/10 because it's our identity. And so symbolism, right? The sun. What do we know about the sun? It's hot.
Yeah.
It shines light, and all the other planets revolve around it.
Yeah.
And so when we think of being a Libra, it means your life is going to revolve around Libra issues. Right? It means the things that get you excited are Libra stuff. Okay.
See, you're saying that I'm really concerned with myself.
I'm saying everyone has a sun, so everyone needs to be concerned with themselves to exist. But so, and Libra is about, in one sense, Libra is about relationship, right? They say Libra is the scales. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, my joke about Libra in a relationship, right? They're always trying to make sure everything is good, right? Try to find that balance. Are you good? Are you good? Everything good? Everything good? Everything good? So Libra is that, and if you think about scales, right? One little thing throws the scale off. And so this act of finding balance. And so in your life is going to revolve around your ability to find balance and to find partners. And if you find great partners and you find balance, you're going to be vital. You're going to shine bright. Yeah. If you feel things are off or uncomfortable or there's not balance, you're going to feel out of sorts, a little crazy, not know who you are.
Yeah.
Okay? But that's only one part, right? If I had your whole chart, I could go through the whole thing and see how does that Libra sun, let's say there's something in Aries, which is the opposite sign. And Aries is about, I don't care about balance, I care about me, right? Aries needs to be selfish because it's where we learn courage. And so someone that has something in Libra and something in Aries, like let's say their moon is in Aries, right? So it means their mind and the way they think about it is all about balance and all about connecting to see what does the other person need, right?
How do you know which moon they have?
So when we say your sun sign, Libra just means you were born in the first month of fall. So sun signs are just when you were born, and they're based on the seasons.
Okay.
So that's what time of the year you were born, right? But let's say right now the moon is in Libra. Actually, the moon is in Libra today, and so the moon takes 27 and a half days to go around the chart. And so when the day you were born, you just look, where was the moon that day? Where was Mercury? Where was Mars? And so a birth chart is a snapshot of the sky at the time and place of your birth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we just interpret, right? It's kind of the idea of every moment has an energy. And the moment you take your first breath, that energy locks into the person and they live out that energy. When I look at someone's chart, I say all these energies, all this stuff in the chart on the basic level, it's what you have to learn to deal with, right? Because the chart says you can't control the energies, you can't control the stuff that comes up in you. That's who you are. You just have to learn to deal with it. The next step is once you learn how to deal with all these different parts of yourself, how do you be creative with these different parts of yourself? And I think that's, to me, that's the purpose of life, is how do I handle all these different things that are going on in me and be creative in the world with them?
Because being creative is a big key to enjoying your life.
It's everything to me.
I know, right?
To me, being creative means something comes at you and you have the confidence that you can handle it, right?
I feel like I used to think it was just from skateboarding, but when I wasn't in my prime anymore, it's always been about making something. Like we make videos, make music, make a bit. Like we're gonna chop wood on fire because we haven't. We got to make new stuff, and I can tell, to me, when we're talking about wooden boards that someone mailed us so that we can set fire to them, I'm most happy when I like before the show. I'm thinking, right, Ricky Williams, a football player. I'm from Australia. I don't know shit about football, but now I'm thinking about your life and but that's my favorite thing is the show. Is what am I going to do with the show tomorrow? How is it going to work out? How am I going to do the best job that I can do? Because I care so much about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like as soon as I don't care so much about everything, is when I could tell my soul will let it go. I'll give up.
Yeah.
It's almost like after years of being beat down, because that's the game. Like, you win a lot, but you also get beat down. And when you get older, those beat downs, you're like, fuck, man. I mean, how many more do I even want of that? And then you think, Well, you as many as you want if you want to be here and thrive. That you know, what I mean, the beat down. You gotta I'm sure get beat down. I lost, but you need to get back up, and you need to have a lot of fire. Because either that, or do you want to die? Because I asked myself, I got a heart condition. I got a lot of worry about that, and I'm like, if I go, I want to help people. I know what I want in my life. I want to help people. I've got a lot. I've been given a lot from whatever, I don't know how, but I've lived a really great life. I don't want to leave until I want my kids to be older. I want to see what they're going to be like, but that's not going to help them. If that's the case, I have to disappear. Great. But I just want to be known when I leave, right before I leave. I did a lot. I tried to help a lot of people. I'm a good person, and I can die like that. You know, I did all my things the best I could.
Exactly. I mean, I feel exactly the same way.
Which also makes me realize some of the mistakes that I've made more so than ever, because I sort of look back at things the way I've talked to people in my career. I'm sure being so high in football and having, because as a pro skateboarder, I was never the best guy, but I was like top 3, and I know what it's like to be fluffed.
Yeah.
I had a fucking good 10, 15 years there where everything I said was hilarious, and whatever I wanted kind of showed up.
Yeah.
You know, how do you bounce back and sort of become a normal person?
Well,
so
again, I gave it all up consciously. So that
a long time ago, in your prime, you did
and so that was my greatest healing right there. You know, and here's the thing about life. I honestly don't think you can make mistakes in life. You can make mistakes in the football field, right? I was supposed to block that guy and I didn't block him. Quarter got sacked and you lost the game. But in life, you can keep choosing. You know, and life isn't over till it's over. It's not like the clock goes out in the middle of your life. And so in life, you can keep on choosing. So that's why I don't really believe there's mistakes. You know, at best, there's learning experiences, and we're not born perfect, and we're not expected to be perfect. So that's the whole process of I didn't know that, now I know. I didn't know that, now I know. I didn't know that, now I know.
It's a lot more positive way to look at things for sure. I feel like that's I don't know about you, but when I was learning to do stuff, still I try when I am boxing with my coach, and there's certain like footwork pattern that I haven't done, or some sort of combination where I'll fuck it up like 3 times and I'll go fuck moron, and then in a minute, and then I'll go back, and only in the last year have I caught. That's my whole trademark. My whole life I've gone, oh yeah, we'll fucking see about that, and get super angry and then make that trick while calling myself a piece of shit and be like, I told you piece of shit. And then I'm starting to realize only in this year have I gone, maybe. Because I remember these guys, if a long time ago when we first started, if they dropped the ball, I'd be like, you fucking moron. How fucking dumb can a dude be? And I'm like, that's not, because that's how I would talk to me.
Yeah.
And then I noticed most people don't want to be talked to like that. and I was like, oh, legitimately. But it's still, like I was saying, I regret those because I should have been wiser. That's not an excuse to be pampered for 15 years, to not understand the feelings of other people. Like, I just obviously didn't pay attention.
I understand that, but I think the issue with that is when we say I should have been, we don't acknowledge that I finally woke up, right? Because that's the precious moment. Whether it takes 5 years or 50 years, the moment is that you wake up. And I think that's to be cherished. That's to be celebrated.
How do you, because to me, now that I have done that, I will catch myself, my coach laughs at me every time. I'll go, fucking, you are the champ. You are the best, motherfucker. Let's dance. And he's like, nice. I saw you catch that. I'm like, I know, right? Fucking look out. Here I go. But it's,
does it work?
Yeah, well, you know what works? It makes me, even if I don't do it, at least I'm happy while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, what? If I don't make that combination work in the next 20 minutes, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
What's my job? I don't even fucking professionally fight. I just care about doing things
right
to 100% of my ability.
Yeah.
Well, a powerful thing I heard pretty recently is that a lot of us develop strategies, techniques that help us deal with the situation we find ourselves when we're very, very young. And a lot of the things, the coping things that helped you when you were 8 or 18 serve you very poorly and are actually very counterproductive when you're 28, 38, 48.
Yes.
So it's incredibly important to become conscious of what your strategies are for dealing with conflict and situations.
Well, yeah. I mean, the truth is, so, you know, I look at someone, I look at their birth chart, and it gives me all this information. But the truth is, that's kind of information about the person's inner world. And so someone has a chart, but that chart has to grow or express itself in a real life environment with parents, with siblings, with rules, all this stuff. And so because sometimes who we are naturally isn't accepted in our environment, then we have to come up with coping mechanisms. Yeah. And so I think one of the things that we all have to go through is we have to kind of look at our childhood and be like, okay, what in my childhood was like me being me, and what is me dealing with my parents' shit.
Wow. Yeah.
And if we can separate those two, then we will recognize the coping mechanisms and the compensations. And part of that maturity process is learning to break the rules in our mind that we've been following that really have nothing to do with us.
My ex-girlfriend had a book that I considered to be a pretty high-level astrology book when I was seeing her years and years ago, and I remember flipping through it one day, and I was like, oh, that's what a Taurus is, that's a whatever. And then I got to Cancer, which is my sign, and it's just like, you're an asshole.
Wow, spot on, huh?
And I think it seemed like it had a positive spin on everybody but me.
Yeah. So, the truth is, and I find this a lot with astrology, is someone who I've had a bad experience with one sign, and then they've decided everyone on that sign is horrible, and authors are not, are like that too. And so, and that's a general thing about astrology, is most of the things that people feel confident in, speaking of astrology, is the negative stuff. No one really. So the thing about astrology that sucks, and I think why it gets a bad rap, is when you read most astrology texts, it describes you to yourself, right? And even if it's 30% accurate, people are like, wow, that's so cool. But that's cool, but how is that helpful? One of the things that I've learned in life, people change. And so if you have an astrology that describes something as static, how is that useful? So the way I look at astrology, it's about what we're attempting to accomplish. And so a Cancer is attempting to accomplish developing an open heart, right? That's really at the core of.
I will get there, Ricky.
At the core of, but this is the fascinating part about astrology. At the core of Cancer, it's about developing an open heart. Okay, that's the aim. But now you look at how does that unfold, right? So part of what you need to develop an open heart is sensitivity, okay? Because right, if there's stuff going on and you're not sensitive or aware of what's going on, you're not doing the work. The other thing is family, right? When you're around people that you feel comfortable and safe around, right? Those more inner parts, they come out. When you're around people that you don't feel comfortable, you don't feel safe around, those inner parts stay inside, and so opening the heart can't happen, right? And so the biggest issue that a Cancer has to deal with, especially a male Cancer, is how do I deal with this sensitivity in a world that says men are not supposed to be sensitive, right? And so a lot of the negative things about Cancer is they get their feelings hurt. They're sensitive. Why? Because they're learning to be in tune with their emotions.
I love too much.
Yeah,
is my problem.
So the shadow of Cancer is Cancer is a healer, right? And so taking on people that just want to be taken care of. Right.
Speaking of just the way you evolve as a person, when you were playing, I judged you to be somebody who really enjoyed your life and really liked playing football. But unfortunately, to be a high-level football player is to be a public figure, whether you like it or not. And I just seemed like you really didn't care for that part of it as much as the other bits. And now you've chosen in your post-playing life to make yourself a public figure. And I find that sort of surprising. Would you have been surprised when you were in your first go round in the NFL to know that you would be podcasting and be, commenting on games, etc.?
I think I would have been surprised until I started to learn astrology. Mm-hmm. So astrology tells me that my happiness is so I have a Cancer moon. Okay, this is interesting, and my Cancer moon is in the part of the chart that has to do with what you do for a living. Okay, and so this time that this is what's fascinating about astrology. So the main challenge of the area of career is not to accept the outside definition of what I should be doing for my career. It's to go in and see what do I really want to be doing. And so, of course, I get 27 and a half, and this part of my chart is being activated. And I this is exactly how it happened. I started thinking about my career, and I was like, when I was a kid and I wanted to be a football player, it was because I wanted to do something to change the world. But now when I reflect on what I'm doing, I'm just distracting people for 3 hours on a Sunday. And that felt like shit to me. Okay. And that had a lot to do with me deciding to walk away from football and say, I'm going to be doing this my whole life. I'm going to be so torn up in my early 30s that I'm not going to feel like doing anything else. And so I realized I need to go live a little bit to find out what I'm doing. And so that's when I found astrology. That's when I found healing. That's when I found all these things that I'm doing now. And so that's, someone looking at my chart when I was born would have said, you're going to be very successful. And then at one time in your life, you're going to make a drastic career change and you're going to be so much happier. That would have been the interpretation. It was rocky, but that's the end result is a astrologer looks at my chart and it says, you're a healer. You're a healer. You're here to be a healer. And I was a football player. I had to make that big jump from being a football player to being a healer. And so I was here to be famous, but not famous for running people over, actually famous for helping people heal from being run over by life. And that's been the shift that I've made, and it's been public. And I think it's been an inspiration for people that are in the same kind of place where, they might be making a lot of money, they might be doing well in their career, but they feel like something's missing. They feel empty. It's not fulfilling.
Wouldn't it be a different angle now as well, where at one point the media is just talking to you about football, which seems like not only a tough game, but a tough fan base. You're going to get critiqued the shit out by a bunch of people that can't play like you, which I've always found it very interesting. But now, what's the beef with Ricky Williams? Trying to fucking help people, and I don't how am I trying to find it? You know what really pisses me off about you is how you're just all happy and fucking positive and shit. Like, it doesn't. I see how at one point maybe your career, because I feel like at one point my show was a little harsher. We were a lot more pointing out like everybody else's faults. So that in turn came at us. Like the social media response was maybe it's because you're a bald fat prick from Australia, and I'm like, ooh, oh, I see what you did there. It's like what I do to people, and you flipped it on me. Now I'm more about trying to help people. I know some people have found my new angle to be frustrating. Like, man, I liked it better when you just told everybody that we're useless. I'm like, I'm sorry that I let you down, but I believe in humankind again now. So fucking, stop listening if you have to.
So what was the moment that all that switched?
Honestly, I felt like I started. I stepped away from myself and saw the way that I was acting, and I think therapy as well. I started to go to therapy, so it did, but it wasn't the day I went to therapy. It was, I don't know, a couple of years later, where all of a sudden I was like, I just remember being really sad about how I treated everybody in my job, and then that made me look back at everything.
Yeah.
And then it, because I've always had this thing where I know some skateboarders that were famous when they were 14, and now they're 40s. They're fucking children, man. They don't know anything except like, what do you mean you're not gonna fucking give me everything for free? That's what I do. That's what I've always done.
Yeah.
And what do you mean you don't like the way I'm talking to you? Like, no one's ever said that back to me. So realizing that I was doing that, because I had that mentality. I got good at skateboarding. I figured it out with no athletic ability. I fucking drove myself to be the best, and I got there. There's no book. I fucking did. I miracled it. I made this useless can fucking move around. Like, I watched it. My stepmother sent me a video I watched because they didn't want to watch because it made me cry. But I watched it yesterday of skateboarding when I was like fucking 14. I'm really bad. You can tell my body's a little fat. My legs are not like, I got two friends that are way better than me. Something happened, man, where I just really cared and made it happen. So then I thought, same with the radio. You know what I mean? When I started radio, I started talking. I was like, oh my God, I'm naturally good at this. Yeah. Not like skateboarding. I was like, Jason, you fucking found your calling, dude. Like, focus like you did in skateboarding on this, and the world is yours.
Yeah.
But I thought the same attitude with skateboarding was, what do you mean you haven't fucking got it done? What do you mean you haven't fucking played our fucking bit? Or what do you mean you're not going to promote us? Chopping at people, always. And then, I don't know what day it was, but it was just a day where I went, oh my God, dude, you've done that to everybody. And then I just think I went on like an apology tour where I was just telling these guys I'm sorry all the time. And I was like, if you guys want to, everyone should be a part of the show. Everyone should be more a part of the show. Because at one point, I think I was like, you guys should shut the fuck up and listen to what I'm doing. I got us here, which is not true. It's just like,
this is an example, right? What the way, like the shift that feels like Libra. That feels like. So I'm curious, like, since you've noticed that shift, how has your life changed?
I'm happier.
Yeah.
I'm a happier person. Also, there was a time there where all I wanted to do was be successful and famous.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the best skateboarder in the world. Didn't work. Now I'm going to be the most famous radio person that ever lived. Bigger than Stern. And then got some fame, got some money, didn't make me any happier. As a matter of fact, at one point when I was the most famous at a Hard Rock, where I couldn't look at my phone because everybody was just like, holy shit, you're you, was one of the worst weekends of my life. I was like, oh, I can't even breathe. Like, this is fucking terrible. Imagine being proper famous. This would fucking kill me.
Yeah.
And then realizing some of the fans that are diehards that are just like drunk and don't care and would probably like piss on your wallet or fucking push your girlfriend over. I'm like, wait, I'm going to die for you? What? And then all of a sudden I realized I want to be happy. Like, and stop drive. Like, you got really good at skateboarding from that drive. You got really good at radio from that drive. Point it at happy. Because I've always been a dark person. I've always had other fans point out to me. There's little things that I recall from back in the day where an assistant guy who was a friend and a fan, he went to get my sandwich and was like, yeah, I've come to get the sandwich for Jason. And he's like, Jason, oh, is that the tattooed guy that like looks real angry and just sits in the corner? And I was like, wait, I'm a fucking funny guy. What are you talking about, angry in the corner? I'm like, fuck, that's what you are, dude. Like, a lot of the time, you're, you do the hey, and then the radio ends, and I'm like, fuck off, fucking idiot. What are you looking at? And I'm like, man, that's got to stop. I don't want me to rub off on my kids like that. So I've just really focused on being happy. It's not like you can probably tell. It's not like, oh man, I fixed it.
Yeah,
it's not fixed.
Yeah.
It's just way better than it was. I feel like these guys don't say it that much, but it's no need anymore because it's kind of squashed. But there were other people that worked at that radio thing that were like, fuck, dude, whatever you did, really glad you did it.
Yeah.
So
I'm guessing you guys noticed the shift.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Did you ask him about it, or you just were like, oh, he's in a better mood today?
No, people who ask me about Jason, I always say he's like the stock market. I say he goes up and down, but he's been trending in the right direction since I've known him.
That's great. That's the greatest compliment I think you can pay a person, because that's real. That's real.
Oh shit, he's so right though. I know. Every time it's like one step forward, two step back thing. But I'm like, it's always better. Like
That's
in
life,
here,
though.
it's
That's
always
real.
better.
But that's the key to success is you, because if you're always going forward, it's because what you're doing is so easy because you've done it so much before. There's no growth. There's no learning.
Yeah.
There's no juice. There's no juice.
Yeah, I don't think I've been more excited about doing shows in a really long time because we got slapped in the face with a huge like chunk of reality where it was like anybody can lose everything. And I was like, wow, at this point I really thought you're not going to stop me, and it's pretty easy, and being human, I was like, I could get into this easy. Like I like waking up going, what am I doing today? Whatever I want, getting paid for it. Pretty sweet, right? Why would I fucking bitch about that? And then all of a sudden, nope, nothing. I'm like, shit, this, better put this down. Fuck. Now it's like hustle, and people are like, I really like the show, and I'm like, do you really? Do you? Like I'm a newborn.
Yeah.
Do you mean it? Thanks, mister.
Where it used to be, yeah, I know.
Yeah. That's it.
Are you a wake and bake guy, Ricky?
Usually, yeah. Most days, wake and bake, sit on the patio with the book, and that's how I start most of my days.
I'm very jealous of that because I recently just took a break from smoking, and I had a pet die, and anytime I smoke, I tend to get dark, and if I'm anxious, it amplifies it. Like for some reason, I have the reverse effect. A lot of people, if they're feeling anxious, they can smoke, and it helps. For some reason, it just amplifies whatever is wrong. So I haven't smoked since my little sugar glider died, and I'm so jealous of people that have the opposite effect. I'm jealous of people even when on my best day, smoking weed does sort of take the wind out of my sails a little bit. It makes me a little sleepy and slows me down. And man, I miss being a wake and baker. I miss being able to like I'm jealous of like Seth Rogen, Kevin Smith, those guys. Wake up, they smoke, and then they create a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Is there any like tips for people like me? Is there any way I can get out of that?
Have you always been like that?
When I was a kid, I feel like it affected me better. But the older I got, the worse it got.
So here's my theory, and it's just a theory. So take it with a grain of sand. Is I think when people smoke and they get anxiety and paranoia, I call it a day nightmare. Because what in my opinion, what cannabis does is it lowers our inhibitions. And so all of the things that we push down creativity, all the dark, whatever it is, right? When we smoke, that stuff comes to the surface. And so my advice is next time you smoke and all those dark things and anxiety come up, write them down on a piece of paper. And then the next time when you're not, look at them and say, okay, this is the shit I have to deal with if I want to enjoy smoking again.
That's crazy, because I've done ayahuasca before, and I felt like that was what some of the medicine was telling me. Like, I told you, there was times there where it kept showing me something where I was like, stop showing me that. That's so bad. And it was like, oh, well then get right in there, and I'm going to make you see it until you fucking cry for it to end. And then I'm going to show you it for a couple more hours so that it really fucking sticks. And I was like, all right, I fucking got it. Please stop. I feel like, but when it ended, when I got out of that 3 days of fucking hell, I felt like those problems, those things still existed. I'm still a part of them. They just didn't hurt as much. Like, I'd think about it and I'd be like, yeah, I know. But it's not like you should have seen what I saw on ayahuasca. Like, it gave me a way worse version than that, you know? And it made it easier. And I'm the same way. Since this heart thing came up, my doctor wants me to go back, and I got to go on these meds. And he's like, your heart's getting bigger. You might need a heart transplant by the time you're 70. That's all the information I have until Wednesday. And I was like, now I feel like I have chest pains. And my wife's like, you feel like you have chest pains since the doctor told you that? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, it's in your head. I'm like, can't be in my head. And I'm like, fuck, I figure panicking. And I'm like, you know what? I will do a Xanax because I'm about to go to hospital. Then she gives it to me, and I feel better. And I'm like, fuck, it's not a heart condition, but I've got a heart condition, and now I've got the anxiety. And now, because weed is my thing that I turn to. A couple of times, I did a dab instead, because I do dabs every now and then to like really lay it on. Oh. I can't do dabs anymore. Whatever the last time I did one, I was like, it's hard. I don't know if I can breathe good. I'm like, fuck, you idiot. Like, did you go too far? So now I'm in a little bit of a pocket with you. I smoke, but I've definitely halved like what I used to, because I feel like I don't want to get too high anymore. But it still helps, you know?
And the other thing is sometimes I think you need a break, right? If you just look at one perspective all the time, you're missing something. And so I think taking a break every once in a while, I find very very fruitful.
How long of a break are we talking?
A month.
Oh wow, okay.
A month.
Yeah.
I try to take a month off a year.
Because it'll clear you out pretty seriously.
It'll clear your body and also clear your mind, so you can keep appreciating.
I saw a thing, some sleep doctor guy saying that there's a certain sleep that you don't get when you use marijuana, and if you don't use for, like you said, for a break like that it recycles and gets you all back up.
Dreams will start to come back too.
Right.
Oh yeah, my dreams have been just fucking super intense, very detailed, very long feeling, and I was kind of hoping, like I've noticed, like, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, I've just got these permanent bags under my eyes, and I was like, oh, maybe when I take this nice long break, I won't look so sleepy all the time. Nah, I fucking still look super sleepy.
You might have like a little bit of a Michael Jackson problem, dude. Like, you see shit that isn't there. Like, I'm looking at your eyes, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Really?
Yeah, man. Like, you talk. Like, I feel like I've people that don't watch our show on YouTube and just hear it think that there's like a fucking garden gnome at the table. Like, your face is fine, man. You don't have any fucking Jesus, dude, look at me. I'm fucking almost 50. You got no bags.
I don't see your bags. We can't see each other's bags.
No, it's because we're both strikingly handsome and full of shit. You're fine. I'm fine.
It is funny whenever we go to like public events, like when we do the Ellis Manias in Vegas, and
people go, wow, you're not that bad. Because you talk so much shit on yourself. People think you're like an 800-pound one-eyed idiot.
You guys do it too. You guys take shots at.
We jump on. I mean, you kind of ask.
But that's the thing. Like, people see us and it's so weird that people don't like bother to even Google or look at social media to just see what we look like ahead of time. But people are like, wait a second, you're Kevin? I thought you were like some Eric Cartman looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
You're not that fat.
Tells you something.
Yeah.
I noticed
you guys have said fat like 50 times, and I haven't seen one fat person anywhere.
Well,
that's because I have my shirt on.
He's got fat tits.
Yeah.
And he's got like a little bit of a gut. But we're talking on the scale of, if you don't have abs, you're fat.
Got it.
It's not, is he unhealthy? And I've said this several times. Are you like a shredded specimen? No. But are you like dying from your fat tits? No.
No.
In
not at
medieval
all.
times, you would be considered a beautiful lady.
You son of a bitch. I'm just a bit doughy. I've got like some saggy witch tits going, and like
They're not that bad.
Like you said, when the shirt's on, you're not fat. Shirt
Yeah.
comes off. Damn.
You could-
yeah, it's a
you
little
could-
bit of a bummer.
If you cared, you could.
I'm doing it. Up.
Okay.
Get this shit.
I
So
will.
remember how I was bragging that I was doing 5 push-ups a day?
Yes. You moved it up.
Not only that, I switched over from the push-ups. I'm doing the perfect push-up things, the rotating
Oh,
ones.
wow, yeah.
I can actually do those now.
Fuck yeah. That's huge, dude.
60 a day.
Bullshit. 60.
Yeah.
Please
Not
don't
at the
hurt
same
me.
time.
How many do you do in each?
12.
Nice.
5 sets of 12. How much of a break in between?
Big ones.
Oh, okay.
Like all day
I space them out, yeah.
through the day.
You know those breaks you take from weed?
yeah.
Because back when I didn't have witch tits, my buddy had this thing. He was like, he was big into fitness at the time too, and he was like, so at the top of the hour, I will drop and do like 15 push-ups, and I was like, no shit. Okay, I'm gonna start doing that too. So obviously it wasn't the top of every hour, but when I caught it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna drop and do 15 push-ups right now. So I kind of just have been on that mentality. Like as long as I'm getting the push-ups in, I feel like they still kind of count. But I guess I should probably do them a little closer together, huh?
It's better than nothing, man. If you did 60 a day, that's your body would change shape over time. It's just if you did it,
Gonna take longer.
yeah, it's just. But it's also as soon as you stop doing 60 a day, like can every day without fail you do it, then yeah, it would make a difference. Take it easy. I think it's a good idea to take it easy because he had a hurt stomach from doing something, and I'm like, you don't want to flex that again, so just take it easy.
Yeah, so I would do like 3 of those perfect push-up things, and that the stabbing thing would come in and be like, I can do more. I just have to give up because of my fucking my ab.
Right. But
But
then there's other workouts you could do besides, like you could lie on the ground and have like weights and do it that way. That way you wouldn't be straining your stomach. Like there's ways to get around it.
Yeah, but I feel like now,
You want a
like now that I
kettlebell,
can
dude? I only have like 5,000 of on it.com/Ellis if anybody wants a discount, but I have 20 on my roof. You can have a couple. I wouldn't even know that they were gone.
Okay.
And you just swing it around the living room, dude. Watch one of those on it videos and just copy those shredded guys. Just and then these ones. I make up one sometimes. I like stand on a balance ball and I'm like, I don't know. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. I don't care. It's a workout. Just move around. It's fine.
Ricky, I was listening to your podcast, Curious Questions, and I thought we've been doing this show for like 15 years. I was intimately familiar with everything you could drink, smoke, inject, snort, but you were talking about mixing up something called Bang.
Bang.
That I feel like I need to get in on this.
It's an experience. So I
Yeah.
just want to. I mean, you can gauge. You can modulate the experience based on how much cannabis you use. Okay, but it came from India and it's this whole drawn out process. So you take. I start with an ounce. You take an ounce of flour and you make a tea out of it. Okay, so you put it in water and you boil the water and you let it sit for 5 minutes, and then you take cannabis out and you squeeze it and you strain so you have the tea, and then you take it in a mortar and pestle and you pour milk. You pour like 3 tablespoons of milk on the cannabis in the mortar and pestle, and you grind it together. All right, you grind it together. So you're mushing up the THC essentially in the water because it's fat soluble, into the milk because it's fat soluble. So you do that, and then you strain the milk, and you do that about 3 times. And then you, at the very end, you take the milk that you have left, and you pour it with the water, with the tea, and you add some spices, some Indian spices, and you got yourself a psychedelic beverage.
Nah.
Yeah.
How psychedelic?
It's psychedelic. It is. I mean, I think when you take edibles, they're more psychedelic than when you smoke, but something about this process, and I don't know what it is, but it's out of this world.
How much THC do you think is in a cup of tea when you make it?
A lot, because I use a
Like
whole
1,000?
I use a whole ounce. And it serves 10 people.
Okay.
So that's a lot. It's a lot.
And you like, is this tripping balls we're talking here?
If you drink enough, yeah, it's tripping balls.
Oh.
Like mushrooms, kind of?
It's like mushrooms. It's healing. It is healing. I had a friend I made some for, and he said I went home and I slept 18 hours and I woke up and my back doesn't hurt at all.
No shit.
I mean, one time those ice cream guys gave me THC ice cream in those little
that.
individual containers. They sent it to the studio, and not that many people wanted them, so I took them all home to my house, and they were little individual containers. I did not know.
How many milligrams in each?
I didn't know. It was 1,000.
In each?
Yeah, and
Goodness
I didn't know,
gracious.
so I ate one and went to bed, and I woke up like 2 hours later than I usually. I was like, man, I slept so good. These things are awesome. So I eat them all, and then I call him. I'm like, hey, man, I'm out of those things. Can I get some more? And man, they must be strong. How much of the milligram of those things? Like 1,000. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know if I want that in my life. Like, that is way more than I thought I was consuming.
Where do you stand on that sort of edible treat? Because as somebody who, like, weed makes me anxious as well, I've been out of the game for a long time. It seems like an incredibly dumb thing to eat a thing that makes me high, that makes me want to eat more of the thing that's going to make me too high. Were we really too busy to have ice cream separate from weed?
Well, I think the idea...
You don't get it, Michael.
I think the
No, I
idea,
don't. I don't. And I never will.
This ice cream's got weed in it.
This guy's wearing a wire.
We're so early in the cannabis revolution that the cool factor is like takes precedence.
Yeah, right.
It's just cool that this was illegal and now we can have this shit in our ice cream.
I get that.
It's the
I'm
factor.
cool. I'm
but
cool.
And it's
Yeah, no, we're trying to. You're very cool. You're accepted.
it's fading out because to me it doesn't make sense. You know, like my wife will get an edible and she'll get like a little chocolate, and for her she'll have to take like tiny little piece of the corner just to get right. Now they're wising up and they're not dosing them so high, and I think that's when it's useful. You know, you can actually use cannabis when you're not blitzed out of your mind.
My wife also cuts her gummy in half.
Yeah.
Each to their own, Michael. I'm not going to be picking on anybody for cutting a gummy in half. I've had my wife took a chocolate bar that had 25 milligram pieces on it. I'll never forget it because she took a 25 milligram piece and then had to come downstairs and get a Xanax because she was having a panic attack. Meanwhile, my dumbass just ate the whole bar and was like watching Netflix. I'm like, what? What's in it? I didn't even know. I'm like, man, there's a certain
That's the big
tolerance.
thing about edibles is that how many people call the emergency room after taking an edible, right? And then it just feels like especially when you first start, it just keeps on going. You're like, is this ever going to end?
Yeah. No, I mean, I've had my fair share of going to a Six Flags with a bunch of weed brownies. But the weed was a completely different drug in those days.
Yes.
Let me talk to you about yoga because I just started doing that. My wife and I do it every week now. We got an instructor, and it's, at first, from all my skateboard injuries and fight injuries, it was. I was like, this is good for me. I can tell it's good for me, and my wife and I are working out together, so that's cool. But I fucking hate this. Like, this hurts. It's showing me how broken I am and how crooked I am. But the more I do it, like I got it tonight, even when I'm tired, even when I don't want to do it, and my instructor's like, still on tonight, I just say yes because I know it really is helping me. I even see in the future that I could transfer my whatever it is that I have addiction to MMA into yoga, because in the end I can tell, you know, the Boom Boom Mancinis and shit. Like, I know those guys. I see them work out every now and then. They're not cracking the bag anymore.
Yeah.
He's, you know, I've talked to him. He's like, I can't crack the bag. It'll wreck my fucking arms, my shoulders. There's certain things I have to give up, and I'm like, every year. So, but yoga,
It saved me. So that I talked about that year I retired. That's when I found yoga. And when I first started doing yoga, I couldn't lift my arms up past here. My shoulders were so beat up, and I had that same.
wait, what was
experience
wrong with your shoulders?
just playing football.
Wait, you broke them, or they?
I separated both of my shoulders
Oh,
several
okay.
times.
Yeah.
And so
But you caught passes. I've seen you do it.
Yeah.
You could
well,
in a pinch.
Well, that's one of the reasons I retired is
Oh.
because my body was going to shit, and I didn't want to have to keep getting surgeries because I would have had 2 surgeries scheduled that year. And so
People who have one surgery and then have another one, it's a year you don't forget. Because I've done that where I'm like, I don't want to come in here ever again.
'cause the rehab is like it's painful.
Rehab's the worst.
But I had that same experience with yoga. The first time I hated it. First 6 times, hated it.
Okay, I was
And
gonna
then-
say I
and
think
then-
I was at least 6. I was getting angry.
And then I started to see progress, and I started to see, oh, I can go deeper, and I had that confidence of I haven't totally beat my body to shit. There is something I can do to bring it back. And so after I had that realization, I was twice a day for like 2 years, and it really helped. It like took layers of injury off my body.
Yeah.
And I swear by it, especially for athletes, especially.
I feel like I can tell from I had a knee reconstruction at this 6 months ago, maybe just over 6 months ago. I had a cadaver MCL replacement.
Yep.
And I've got my ligaments are already I've torn my ACLs. I have no PCLs in both my knees. So they've always been pretty bad. I went to Colombia to get stem cells, and the doctors were like, we can fix your left one, but your right one, you're going to need to get a surgery. You have one ligament, and that's loose. And I was like, oh, shit. And so getting that surgery and then doing the yoga, I feel like my knee used to wobble like side to side. And so there's like a little balance thing that's always been off, and now that it's back and the yoga, I skateboarded with Tony we got a new show, so we skateboarded. I hadn't skateboarded for a long time, and I felt better that day skateboarding with him than I did 10 years ago when I skated with him for our show where I did a 540 on my 40th birthday. And I was like, I felt more stable, and I was like, because the last time I was there, that's when I tore my knee, and I was wobbling all over the place. But I was there for 3 days, and I was better that first day. And I know it's yoga. I can tell from even boxing that from learning how to balance on one foot, because I thought I could always balance on one foot.
Yeah.
Turns out, not as good on my right foot as my left foot, and now it's super apparent. So now I'm like always trying to make that foot balance more, which makes everything even out. I can tell her it's the same thing with stem cell and yoga and certain things where I go, man, what have I done this 10 years? You know what I mean? Like, you bastards. Like, the first time I got PRP, and I was like, what do you mean PRP makes it heal? I cried. Yeah. I cried in the doctor's office when he was like, oh, we'll get this thing working in no time. Shoved a bunch of needles in my shoulder, and I was like, oh my God, this dude fucking fixed my shoulder. I thought I could be back in skateboarding, but when this needle hit me, I was already like in radio and way out of the game. But I thought, wow, all you young guys out there, you guys are stoked, man. You have like stem cells, and if people get on the marijuana and the CBD where it's like, hey, you let those guys do it. I see all athletes having longevity, and I feel like you could get better and change the game of your sport. Because to me, I could have got better there was a time there was my brain wanted to get better, but my body was like, dude, I just can't be a part of this anymore. Like, I want to help you, but it just wouldn't come with me anymore. I'd be like, come on, and my arm's like, nah. Yeah. I'm like, I can't live like this. That was the other thing. I don't want to be half-assing in the game.
I mean, that's when most guys walk away when their mind can do something and their body's like, I can't do that anymore. That's when you know. That's when you know it's time to move on.
It's so tough, though. It's a forever stinger. It's like a death.
Yeah.
It's like half of you died.
I feel lucky because I killed that part of myself early, and so I feel like I got a head start on it.
Do you think that a lot of people that were pro when you're pro that stayed and are paying ahead? Like, do you have personal friends that are like way more mangled than you?
I do. I have close friends and they're scared. That's the worst part is the fear. You know, it's one thing to have to deal with the stuff, but when you go to the doctors and the doctors are like, well, you know, 99.9% of football players have moderate brain damage. That's all they're saying. And so I think the guys are just scared because they're just afraid it's going to keep getting worse. And right now, you know, medicine, at least Western medicine, doesn't have any answers.
For smashing your head over and over again?
Yes.
I mean, the only answer is really stop smashing your head over and over again, or commit to your dedicated craft.
It's commit to your craft, and I think Tom Brady is a great example. Commit to taking care of yourself. That's what I've realized halfway through my career. I've realized I'm doing some intense damage to my body. I have to match it with intense care for my body.
Right.
And that's when things really started to change.
It's funny because I did not get my wits in my skateboard career. I got it in my radio career, and even that, like you were saying, it can come at any time where people change. To be, you know, mid-40s and be like, wait a minute. It's a little bit embarrassing, but it's all, like better you said, it's right. It's
way better than never.
Because right now, I'd be a sad motherfucker if it was still going down that road, because I'd be by myself.
Exactly.
Nobody could tolerate that any longer.
Yeah, you got it.
As a non-sports guy, I've always been curious. In the locker room,
the ball, is it hard to hold?
I can't wait. The locker room, even better. Go ahead.
Do people judge wangs?
Oh my god.
I'm not even from here. does
as long as you're in the middle range, you're fine.
Wait
if
a
you're
minute.
really hung, you get judged, and if you're really tiny, you probably get judged.
See, not so stupid after all,
Okay,
huh?
sorry. I am sorry. I thought you all didn't look at each other's dicks.
Well, we don't acknowledge looking at it, but it's
if
hard.
it's-
It's like you have peripheral vision. I know we don't stare.
I know,
You
I
get
know.
your ass whooped if you
Like
stare.
you couldn't like I'm just as an example, like in the WWE locker room, if The Rock walks in and he's got a fucking Tic Tac, people are gonna be like, "Oh my god!"
The Tic Tac guys wait till everyone else showers.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Such a hard life, right? That's not right.
no.
They wait till everyone else showers,
Right.
and then they shower.
Oh.
And everybody just knows. Like if you're the guy waiting to shower, it's like,
Yeah,
fucking
we-
Captain
everyone
Tic Tac
knows.
over here.
Exactly.
Right. So there's got to be a couple guys in the league, obviously not asking you to name names, where it's like to the world, this guy's like a Hall of Famer or a superstar. And everyone's like, yeah, but that's the guy with the tiny dick.
Yeah, and it's the opposite though. This guy sits the bench and woo,
Right.
he hung.
Oh shit, man! I'm glad. Now I'm glad you asked that. Good question, Kevin. Wow. Did not know
As
that.
you can tell, Jason has an intimate and extensive knowledge of the NFL. I was looking at your career and trying to find things that might resonate on Jason's radar. Your agent was Master P.
Yes, that's.
Whoa!
Yeah. See, there you
That
go.
was your agent too?
No, I wish. Fuck, I would have given him everything. Whatever, P, you can have it.
Exactly. that was his heyday too when I signed with
Oh,
him.
so
Yeah.
it's- no.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I had a tank and everything.
Dude, he came to X Games once, and me and another pro skateboarder went and asked for a photo, and I remember being scared to ask. So I was like, hey, Mr. P, can I get a photo? He's like, yeah, man. I'm like, holy shit, hey, P. Just terrified of the guy, because I was like, he's got a fucking gold tank. That's how many guns he's got. He's got a tank. I was pretty sure that he would kill people. I didn't know that he was going to be like a what was the TV show he had where his son, he had a huge TV deal for the longest time. What was that TV show?
Was it
he had?
like hanging with Mr. P's neighborhood?
It was
or-
something
was
gnarly, like where
something
he just was
UPN.
like, yeah, Master P got a full TV show. What's up? And my kids are in it, and it's a giant sitcom. I believe that's what it was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are not, are you still cool with P? Like, do you hang out or no?
We haven't hung out in a long time, but this was back in 1999, and I was coming out of the NFL, and it just didn't feel right. All the like slick back agents, that they're fast talking. I was like, I want an agent that I could like hang out with.
Yeah.
I feel like I have something in common with, and so I hired P's agency, and then that was before I actually got drafted to New Orleans, where he's from, and so. Having my first couple of years in New Orleans in his hometown, it was a great choice.
Is he like a personal agent, or has he got other people helping you?
Yeah, he just runs the agency. He hired attorneys, real agents to negotiate the contracts. But it's his philosophy, and it's like a big family. It was
Did he
great.
give you a cool chain when you got?
I got it. Yeah,
Son of a bitch! You
got a
did.
tank.
You got a no limit.
that was the first thing I got was my tank.
Wait, I'm just
So
realizing.
sick.
So this means there was like head-to-head power conversations between Master P and Mike Ditka with you in the
Yeah,
middle?
so the first meeting, it was
Ditka
it was
and
P,
P.
Ditka, and there's pictures of it. Yeah,
Did
all of us sitting-
Dicka get a tank?
He didn't get a tank.
Ah.
You didn't get a chain.
He didn't get a chain.
Yeah.
If he would have asked for one, I'm sure they would have given him one. They would have probably put him on an album. They used to put everybody on those albums.
He had those chains ready to go, right?
Yeah, he did.
It's a legendary guy right there. He's an athlete,
Yeah, basketball player.
Right.
Yeah.
almost in the NBA, right?
Yeah. He was in, I think, the D League.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him talking a mean game about that, and it was back where I was like, man, then he should just be in the NBA. Like, what if he's not that great, but he's still Master P? You got to pass it to P just one time, one 3-pointer or
Just one-
something.
that's it. That's all he needs. Yeah.
And then
that's
it's
it.
over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like everybody can go back to the bench, and we're all so stoked. Just give him one, man.
I think he agreed with you. Because
Right?
he was on the fringes for a while.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
He's
I mean,
like,
it
just give
was
me
a
one.
dream.
Was it Hornets that he was almost on?
I think it was the Hornets. It was
Yeah.
a dream. You know how like a lot of musicians want to play sports and a lot of
Yeah.
athletes want to get into music.
I mean, you played baseball, right?
I played minor league baseball for a couple of years.
So you can. Why not that, and why football?
I was better at football. I mean, baseball was fun, but also they play 162 games. That's they play almost every day. I couldn't do that. I need a break. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Oh,
has to
wow.
have changed so much because when I was a kid, I think was still the tail end of there were players who were drunk, there were guys who were smoking in the dugout. Like playing 162 games in 81 is not the same as what it means in 2021.
Yeah.
That's really difficult.
Yeah, it's. I mean, just minor league baseball. We played every day and on buses. I mean, in the major leagues, you take planes, but you gotta love it. You have to really love. You have to really love baseball to play it. And football was going so well, and I just stuck with it.
You surf at all?
I surfed a little bit. Yeah, I love it. I mean, I remember the first time I caught a wave, like just the feeling of riding nature. Nothing like it. Nothing like it.
Now I've been trying to get into that lately, and that I can just tell it's all about, because that pro skateboarder won't get on my feet. I'm good, but it's the understanding of the ocean.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, this is a giant slap in the face. Like even little waves control me. I look like an injured turtle out there. I'm like, this is a whole new
Learn respect
thing. I went out there the other day, actually on the pier. I joined some people in support of African American surfers, because apparently there was a black guy down there surfing and a white guy was saying some shit, spitting on him, and everybody had a big thing on the weekend to support him and everybody around the pier. So I got friends in San Diego that came up. They told me about it, so I showed up. So there was like 1,000 people on this wave, all together, going together. Black, white, everybody. If you fell on each other, they were like, "You good, man?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good. You good? Yeah, man. Let's get back out there." The friendliest riding of waves I've ever been associated with in my life, which just made me realize this. You know, surfers, they own this wave.
It can get rough out there.
Yeah, they're like mean. They don't give you the time. Oh man, look at you. You can't even fucking paddle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, but then this community was like, "No, we're all group here." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, why can't we be like this every weekend?" I'd surf every spot if everyone was going to be like, "Hey, man, you look like you need some help." And then I noticed there's a couple of guys out there, fat, older than me, and they just paddle past me and get on the wave, and I'm like, I fucking ran this morning. What are you talking about, that guy? And I'm like, okay, there's a technique. Yeah. There's like a full thing that you can know, and once you know it, sky's the limit. Because this fat guy was just like, I'm taking this wave. I'll take any wave of all of you all day, because I've got this. Wasn't his strength.
No.
He just got some technique where he makes his board go way faster than me, and I splash around like I'm gonna drown.
That's where he put his 10,000 hours when you were skating.
Yeah.
But I really want that. I really want I believe riding nature is probably one of the freest feelings you can get. But not riding, because that's the difference. Riding in being calm in it and appreciating the ride, instead of being, because I don't in skateboarding I wanted to do as much as I could do, but in the end I really enjoyed controlling something so easy and just paying attention to how good I was doing a basic trick, not flying and spinning and whack, did you get that? Like just more of the flow of it. And I feel like in surfing, once I get past this paddling thing, every now and then I'm going to get on that thing and I'm going to go, fuck yeah, man, riding it all the way around. Not like, oh, look out, shark or something.
Like Fonzie.
Did he surf in the...
He jumped the shark.
Yes.
It was on a surfboard, was it not?
No, motorcycle.
Was
what
it?
the
Water
hell?
skis. Wasn't it water skis?
Oh, he didn't jump the shark twice. I thought he jumped a pool.
You're talking about Happy Days?
Yes.
Oh.
He jumped on a motorcycle.
He jumped
over
a couple of
pool of
things.
sharks.
He did.
Wait, he water ski jumped over sharks as
Pretty
well?
sure, because that's where the term came from, jump the shark, because that was when, like, all right, Happy Days is officially out of ideas.
See,
He's on fucking water skis jumping over a shark.
I thought he jumped a pool on a motorcycle. This whole time I got the Happy Days jump the shark thing wrong. Sorry, I'm from Australia. They didn't play it that much there.
Yeah, it was water skis.
It was water skis.
In
Wait,
a leather
did he have
jacket.
shorts on?
He had shorts and a leather jacket on.
God, Fonzie, why would you do that?
Cool as ice, that guy.
Pretty cool to jump sharks. I've actually wanted to fight a shark, and then I realized it would be cool to sharks. But I've fought like some bigger fighters, like UFC fighters and stuff that are way bigger than me, because it's like whoa, how long will they last?
Yeah.
And then it excels.
How long did you last?
I did 2 rounds with Shane Carwin. He had one arm,
Yeah.
but one time that was it.
That was it.
And then I went the distance with Carl Kingsbury first time, and then second time I got finished in the second round. But I was tired.
Yeah.
I fought a guy right before him that tired me out, and then when I fought Kyle, I had one round where I was good, and then by the second round I was like, I'm just gonna go for it, and he was like, that's a stupid thing to do.
Yeah. Because when you get tired, you just want to.
Because
I just want to get out.
I kind of gave up. I didn't give up. I was like, I've been running and ducking you for this whole first round, and then I was like, get your wind back. get your wind back. It's like, ding, ding, we're going back in. I'm like, I don't have my wind back. This is not going to work out. And I was like, I'm just going to, you know what I'll do? I'll charge in.
Go down swinging.
Yeah, that didn't work out.
So, Ricky, what do you want to do with this podcast? Where are you going with this?
So, when I first came up with the idea, it was a little bit scary because I the people that I know nothing about astrology, and so I just jumped in, and as we got a couple under our belts, it's morphing into essentially turning into a reading almost. I recorded one last week with Bethany Costantino. She's an artist, a musician, and we got really deep. And I just started talking to her about her chart, and she was open, and it just got really deep, and it was really powerful. So I feel like it's going to move in that direction. But, it's tricky because astrology, you're looking at people's insides. And so how comfortable are people when they come on and with a total stranger, how comfortable are they going that deep in an hour? And so it's moving in that direction, and that's my challenge. I'm just going to see if we can go deep.
Celebrity astrology readings would seem to have, like if you... Master P, for example.
Oh, break him down, please. Actually, don't. I don't want to know if he's got a soft side. I want to keep it gangster. I just want to be like, that's all I ever care about. That's all I hear in my head.
Yeah. My goal is to get people to, I don't know if you, what was that, the football movie with Tom Cruise and Cuba Gooding Jr.?
Yeah. Show me the money.
Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire. And Jerry Maguire, Roy Firestone.
The sports host.
Always get the guys to cry. That's what I'm going for. If I can, because a good reading in astrology is when you get tears, and so because you got to something, you got to something that they can actually do something about.
Right.
And so to get people to be vulnerable enough and open enough on the podcast, that's where I'd like to take it.
Yeah, Barbara Walters used to always be famous for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could be the Barbara Walters of astrology podcast.
Yes.
Dr. Drew made me cry on his show.
Yeah.
His wife made me cry on her show. I just decided I'm not going back on their shows. All right. I think that's it. We've done a...
Yeah.
Yeah, we were supposed to go. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being on the show, dude. It was really awesome to talk to you.
This was fun.
I would kind of like to know... I mean, I want to cry. I cry enough as it is, but I would like to know a little bit more about that stuff. I'm interested in it.
So you'd come on?
I would totally come on.
Sweet. Yeah. We'll reach out. That's awesome.
I would love to get my chart.
Yeah, I'm curious now because obviously you're a Libra, but there's a lot of other stuff going on.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm curious
That makes more sense when you say that. There's a lot of stuff going on for sure.
See what else is going on in there.
Get that bang recipe, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for bang this week, but I think like once I bounce back and I get my panics under control, I'm gonna bang the shit out of myself. All right, everybody, enjoy it. We'll be back. Oh, don't forget Patreon shows.
Patreon.com/EllisMate.
That's right. We're live 2 days a week on there. Check us out. Like and subscribe. Don't die.
Bing, boing, poing, 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 poing. Boing, 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 boing. Meow, 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 meow. Fucking meow, meow. Big fat boy. Fucking boy. Big fat boy. Fucking boy. Bing boing boy. Boing fucking boy. Bing boing boing. Boing. Meow. Meow, 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 meow.
Big fat boy.